Oh, I lost a subscriber. That's a bummer. I lost a subscriber. Bummer. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. How are something is happening? Bam. How are you? Welcome. So, we are doing some Exodus. We're exiting the Exodus. Actually, we're not even close to exiting the Exodus. But we can keep thinking that we are. So, where we left off yesterday, God was giving them rules and reminding them about the Sabbath and celebrate Dead Baby Day because that's actually important. Because it's April 14th, not 17th. It's April 14th. But anyway, um, so we're picking up on chapter 35. And that starts. Moses gathered all the congregation of the vampires together and said to them, "These are the words which the Lord has commanded you to do. Work shall be done for 6 days, but on the 7th day it shall be a holy day." You have no idea how many times he reminded me about this. So it's the first thing I'm telling you. So I don't have to keep repeating this to you. Work 6 days, sleep the 7th. It'd be like, work 6 days, sleep on 7th, something like that. Okay. You shall kindle no fire throughout your dwellings on the Sabbath day. So you're going to be cold. And Moses spoke to all the vampires, saying, "This is the thing the Lord commanded. Take from among you an offering of the Lord. Whoever is willing of heart, let him bring it as an offering: gold, silver, tie-dye, yes, and ram skins dyed red, and badger skins. Um, Acacia wood, oil for the light, spices for the oil, and incense, and tons of bedazzling guns. We need loads of bedazzling guns. All who are gifted artisans among you shall come and make all the Lord has commanded: the church, the tent, its covering, its clasp, its boards, its bars, its pillars, its socket, God's suitcase chair, and the veil of the covering, the table, its poles, everything. You guys literally have to make everything. Okay. Hold on. All this stuff. Okay. And the garment of ministry for ministering in the holy place, the holy garments for Aaron, and the garments for his sons to minister, And all the congregation of the vampires departed from Moses. Then everyone came whose heart was stirred, and everyone whose spirit was willing. And they brought the Lord's offering for the work of the church and the meeting house. They came, both men and women, as many had a willing heart, and brought earrings, nose rings, necklaces, jewelry, that is, every man who made an offering. And every man who was found tie-dye and all of that, they brought that. Okay. So anybody who had any of those items came and brought it. All the women who were gifted artisans spun yarn with their hands, and they wove the tie-dye. And all the women whose hearts stirred with wisdom spun yarns of goat's hair. The rulers brought the bedazzling guns and all the stones, the spices and the oil. The vampires brought a free will offering to the Lord. All the men and women whose hearts were willing brought material for all kinds of work, which the Lord, by the hand of Moses, commanded to be done. And Moses said, "See, the Lord has called by name Bezalel, and he has filled him with the Spirit of God, and wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, and all manner of workmanship, to design artistic works, to work in gold, silver, and bronze, and cutting and using the bedazzling guns and carving wood, all manners of everything. And he has put in his heart the ability to teach. In him and Ahiloab has filled them and skill of all manner of work of the engraver and the designer and the tapestry maker with the tie-dye. What? Hold on. He has put in the heart the ability to teach. In him and Ahiloab to do all the tie-dye and all the engraving stuff. Hey, cousin, tell your father I said hi and I miss his face. I thought there was somebody else here. There should be other people here. I'm trying to be slow, sort of. Okay. So now we're about to go on to chapter 36. And Bezalel and Ahiloab and every gifted artisan and who the Lord had put wisdom and understanding to know how to do all things for the service of the church. Hold on. Understanding to know how to do all manner of work for the service of the sanctuary shall do according to all the Lord had commanded. Then Moses called Bezalel and Ahiloab and all the other artisans. He called them and everyone whose heart was stirred to come and do the work. And they received from Moses all the offerings which the vampires had brought for the work of the service. So they continued bringing to him free will offerings every morning. Then all the craftsmen who were doing the work, like all of them, came to Moses like, yo, tell these people to slow down. Be like, put on the brakes. Pump the brakes, big guy. You know? It's too much. There's too much stuff. So tell them to pump the brakes. So Moses gave a commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, they don't need no more shit. And the people were restrained from bringing, for the material they had was sufficient. Then all the gifted artisans who worked on the church made curtains woven of tie-dye with artistic designs of cherubim. The length of each curtain was 20. We knew that already. Okay. He made blue loops of blue yarn on the edge of the curtain on the selvage of one set. Likewise, he did on the outer of the other. 50 loops he made on one curtain, and 50 loops he made on the edge of the curtain. We already know this already, though. Then he made curtains of goat's hair to go over the church. Hold on. I gotta redo this. Hold on. Okay. Then all the gifted artisans among them who worked on the church made curtains of woven tie-dye with artistic designs of cherubims. The length of each curtain was 28 cubits, and the width of each curtain was 4 cubits. The curtains were all the same size. And he coupled 5 curtains to another. He made loops of blue yarn on the edge of the curtain. Likewise, he did on the other edge of the other curtains on the second set. 50 loops he made on one curtain, and 50 loops on the edge of the other curtain. The loops held one curtain to another, and he made 50 clasps of gold and coupled the curtains one to another, that it might be one tabernacle. Okay. Then he made curtains of goat's hair for the tent over the tabernacle, so it was the covering. He made 11 curtains. The length of each curtain was 30 cubits, and the width 4 cubits. The 11 curtains were the same size. He coupled 5 by themselves and 6 by themselves, and he made 50 loops on the outer part of them. He made 50 bronze clasps to couple the tent together, so it might be one Then he made the covering for the tent of ram skins dyed red, and a covering of red badger skin above that. Those are great rules. I love those rules. Those are the best. Those are the best rules. They're so simple. Okay. So, where are we at? Okay. For the tabernacle, he made boards of acacia wood, standing upright. The length of each board was 10 cubits, and the width a cubit and a half. Each board had 2 tenons for binding to one another, like Lincoln logs, remember? Like Lincoln logs, like that. Okay. Oh my God, do I gotta read this? I don't want to read this. So they're making the outside of the church and the meeting house, and uh, okay, and now the bars to go through the middle of the board so that it's what is that word? Portable. And you're gonna put these through the middle of the board while they're standing up like this, like this. The bar is gonna go through the middle of it. Okay. And he also made a screen for the church door of tie-dye, made of tie-dye linen made by a weaver, and its 5 pillars with their hooks. And it and he overlaid their capitals and their rings with gold, but their 5 sockets were of bronze. Dun, dun, dun. I wonder where everybody went. What time is that? We're 18 minutes in. Where's everybody? Man, I'm tired. Okay. Okay. Now, here we go. Chapter 37. Then Bezalel began to make God's suitcase chair of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long and a cubit and a half wide. And hold on. It was 2.5 cubits long, a cubit and a half wide, a cubit and a half tall, and he overlaid it with pure gold, inside and outside. And he made a molding of gold all around it. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold so it could be portable. And he made the chair part of pure gold, 2.5 cubits long, a cubit and a half wide, and he made 2 cherubims of beaten gold. He made them with 1 piece at the 2 ends of the chair. So remember, its wings was the back piece, its wings was the back of the chair. and it sat on top of the suitcase, kind of. Like, it was sort of a lid, but not really. Mhm. Okay. He made the table of acacia wood, 2 cubits long, a cubit wide, and a cubit and a half tall. And he overlaid it with gold and made molding of gold all around it. He also made a frame of a handbreadth all around it, and he made a molding of gold for the frame all around it. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold so it would be portable. And he made the poles of acacia wood to carry all of this stuff. Everything that he made portable has acacia wood poles to go with it. And then he made all the cutlery and overlaid it with gold. He also made the lampstand, very specific. And you remember, he has to make 7 of them. And they're like flowers. Okay. And he made the incense altar of acacia wood, a cubit long, a cubit wide, and 2 cubits tall. And its horns were of one piece with it, and he overlaid it with pure gold. He also made for it a molding of gold all around it. He made 2 rings of gold for it under its molding to make it portable. He also made the holy anointing oil and the pure incense of sweet spices, according to the work of the perfumer. Dun, dun, dun. No, you do your writing. Your mom told me the cool shit that you're about to get into. And I don't know if anybody's coming. We're 23 minutes in, and you are the only one to show up. But I know we are going on to chapter 38. Oh man, we might. Oh my god. We literally. Okay, we're going to 38. And then he made an altar. He made the altar of burnt offerings of acacia wood, 5 cubits long, 5 cubits wide, and 3 cubits tall. He made its horn on its 4 corners. The horns were of one piece with it, and he overlaid it with bronze. He made all the utensils for the altar, the pans, the shovels, the basins, the forks, all of that. And he made it of bronze. He made the grate, and he made it portable. Okay. He made the altar hollow with boards. And then he made the foot bath, the thing where they gotta wash themselves before they go into the church thing that's always gotta have the water, the bath. Well, it's like the sink where you wash your hands and your face and stuff. Okay. So he made that of wood and then overlaid it with bronze. Wait. No, he made the laver of bronze and its base also from bronze. From the bronze mirrors of the serving women who assembled at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. So they made a girl's bathroom. Oh, the girls gave him the bronze mirrors, and that's what they used them for, was to make a a sink for Aaron and them. Well, that's nice. Then he made the court on the south side. The hangings of the court were of fine woven tie-dye, 100 cubits long. There were 20 pillars for them, with 20 bronze sockets. The hooks of the pillars and their bands were silver. On the north side, the hangings were 100 cubits long, with 20 pillars. What? Then he made the court. Okay, yeah, this is, for some reason, this thing they're calling a court is literally just surrounded by curtains. Each side is curtains. Okay. Wait, where am I at? Okay. All the hangings of the court all around were of fine woven tie-dye. The sockets for the pillars were bronze. The hooks and their bands were silver. And the overlay of their capitals was silver. And all the pillars of the court had bands of silver. The screen for the gate of the court was fine woven tie-dye. The length was 20 cubits. 20 cubits long and 5 cubits wide. And there were 4 pillars with 4 sockets of bronze. Their hooks were silver, and the overlay of their capitals and their bands was silver. All the pegs were bronze. This is so much shit for no reason. But the pegs that held the tent and the ground were bronze. That was the last thing it said. This is the inventory of the church, which was counted according to the commandment of Moses for the service of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. Bezalel made all the Lord commanded Moses, and with him was Ahiloab, an engraver and designer, a weaver of tie-dye. All the gold that was used in the work of the holy place, that is, the gold of the offering, was 29 I 79 no, $29,730. And the silver from those who were numbered of the congregation was 100 and $101,700. Oh, $775. Um, for everyone included in the numbering from 20 years old and above were 603,000. What? 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 For everyone included in the numbering from 20 years old and above for 603,550 men. And from the 100 talents of silver were cast the sockets of what? Hold on. And the silver from those who were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents and 1,775 shekels. Right, so it's like a fucking bazillion dollars. A beka for each man. For everyone included in the numbering from 20 and above for 603,550 men. And from the 100 talents of silver were cast the sockets of the sanctuary and the bases of the veil. 100 sockets from the 100 talents. Oh my God, I do just, what is this? Who cares? What? They want you to feel like this when you read this book. So you don't read this book. They just put all this in there like, they're not gonna want to read it. We don't want to read it. I don't want to read it. Oh God. Because it doesn't mean anything. It's just words. And they throw this shit in here just so you don't read it. They repeat everything. Repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. Just so you get aggravated. You're like, fuck, man. Yeah. The offering of bronze was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. And with it, he made the sockets for the door of the meeting house, the bronze altar, the bronze grating, all the utensils, the sockets, the bases for the court, the bases for the court gate, all the pegs for the tabernacle, and all the pegs for the courtyard roundabout. See, man. Okay. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. Maybe some of the authors. Yeah. Well, a lot of this stuff, Jesus, he doesn't necessarily say it, but he makes reference to a lot of these rules from the Old Testament were made up by something called the patriarchy, especially the chop your pecker off thing. Apparently, that was not a God thing, according to Jesus, from what I understand. He said that came from the patriarchy, which I'm betting a lot of these rules that we are about to read are because I have done the best I can to skip a lot of this stuff the past few times I have read it. I my phone is somewhere. Anyway, but this time I'm actually gonna read the rules. And I'm gonna give you my opinion on them. And you can give me your opinion and we can just talk shit about these terrible ass people. But, cousin, we're about to be done with this. Here we go. Second to last chapter. Of the tie-dye, they made garments. Of the tie-dye, they made garments of ministry for ministering in the church and made the holy garments for Aaron as the Lord commanded Moses. I wonder if while they were making these clothes, if they were like, how did he piss God off? Because these clothes are very passive aggressive. Okay. He made an ephod of gold and tie-dye, and they beat the gold into thin sheets and cut it into threads to work it in with the tie-dye into artistic designs. They made shoulder straps for it to couple it together. It was coupled together at its two edges. Time to take your pills. Okay. So, wait. Shoulder straps for it. Okay. And the intricately woven headband of his ephod. It was of the same workmanship, woven of gold and tie-dye, as the Lord commanded Moses. And then he made a breastplate, artistically woven, like the workmanship of the ephod of tie-dye and gold. They made the breastplate square by doubling it. A span was its length and a span was its width when doubled. Damn. That's kind of stuck. Mm. They were on, and I'm gonna say opium. Lots of opium. And opium is one of the funnest drugs I have ever done in my life, and I will never do it again. It was the best 48 hours of my life. Okay. Um, where was I? Um, and then they went ahead and bedazzled the shoulder thing and the breastplate. They bedazzled that. And then they made chains for the breastplate at the ends, like the braided cords of pure gold. They also make settings of gold, and they made 2 settings of gold and 2 rings, and put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And then they attached the braided cords to them. Okay. Why do we gotta say that so many times? Okay. So the hat, the shoulder, and the breastplate was all connected. It's different pieces held together by braided cords of gold. Just like the Lord had commanded Moses. Then he made the robe of the ephod of woven work, all blue. And there was an opening in the middle of the robe, like the opening on a coat of mail, with a woven binding all around the opening, so it would not tear. They made on the hem of the robe pomegranates of tie-dye, and they made bells of pure gold, and they put the bells between the pomegranates. Okay. And they put these all around the hem of the robe to minister as the Lord commanded Moses. Then they made the t-shirt dresses. This is too much. I only smoke weed and drink coffee. Well, there are people that do history say Moses had severe brain injuries. That's why he thought he could talk to God, because he was severely concussed. I don't know that to be true, but I have lots of brain injuries, and I feel like God is making me do this for the past 5 years. So maybe there's some validity to that. Who knows? But all I know is in the end, it's worked out for me and it worked out for Moses. So who's really crazy? The people it didn't work out for, or the people it did work out for? Who knows? Okay. Okay, here we go. Now, they made t-shirt dresses artistically woven of fine linen for Aaron and his sons, a turban of fine linen, exquisite, ex, ex, exquisite, exquisite hats of fine linen, boxer shorts, and a sash of fine woven tie-dye, made by a weaver as the Lord commanded Moses. Then they made a plate for the holy crown of pure gold and wrote on it an inscription, Holiness to the Lord. And remember, they made this like the ninja headband. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Press like and subscribe. We are on the second to last chapter of Exodus. We're about to be finishing Exodus today. And remember, they did this like ninja headband. And they tied to it a blue cord to fasten it up above on the turban as the Lord commanded Moses. Thus, all the work of the church and the meeting house was finished. And the vampires did according to all the Lord commanded Moses. And they brought the tabernacle to Moses, the tent and all its furnishings, everything, they brought it. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Dun. They brought all of it to Moses. Now it's naming literally everything. Okay. So, anyways, they brought it all to Moses according to all the Lord had commanded. So the vampires did. Then Moses looked over all the work, and indeed they had done it, just as the Lord had commanded. Just so they did. And Moses blessed them. Last chapter. It's the last chapter of Exodus. Okay. And it's not even that long. Literally a page. So exciting. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Don't forget, press like and subscribe. The last chapter of this book. Tomorrow we're starting a new book. Okay. So, this one says, Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Yay! Good!
Moses! Moses! On the first day of the first month, you shall set up the meeting house. You shall put in it my suitcase chair and partition it off with a veil. You shall bring in the table and arrange the things that are to be set in order on it. And you bring in the lampstand and light it immediately. Set the altar of gold for the incense before my suitcase chair. I have a very sensitive nose. I can't smell anything that is gross, or I will vomit acid on everyone. So don't let me smell this shit, right? Bread and incense 24/7, right? Or I'll vomit acid on this whole camp, right? Right. Okay. You shall also set the altar of gold for the incense before my chair, and put the screen for the door of the church. Then set the altar of the burnt offerings before the door of the meeting house, and then set a laver between the meeting house and the church. Put water in it. You shall set up the court all around, and hang the screen at the gate, because mosquitoes are a thing. Mind altering drugs. Alter the mind. Hmm. I don't know. I've done some mind altering drugs. Never LSD though. I did dippers, PCP, angel dust. What's that other thing called? Mm, not mescaline. I don't know, but never any LSD. I did angel dust and PCP. Everybody turned into clay people. It was the craziest shit. Everybody was like Gumby. They were made of clay. It was cool. Okay. Wait. Where am I at? Okay. And you shall take the anointing oil, anoint the tabernacle and all that is in it, and you shall hallow it and all its utensils, and it shall be holy. And you shall anoint the altar of the burnt offering and all its utensils, and consecrate the altar, and the altar shall be most holy. And you shall anoint the laver and its base and consecrate it. Okay. God, I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad for what's happening to Aaron. You literally called me a cow. Fuck that guy. Then you shall bring Aaron and his sons to the door of the meeting house and wash them with water. You shall put the holy garments on Aaron and anoint and consecrate him, that he may minister to me. And you shall bring his sons and clothe them in t-shirt dresses, anoint them just like their daddy. Then they may minister to me as priests. For their anointing shall surely be an everlasting priesthood throughout their generations.
Thus Moses did according to all the Lord had commanded. And it came to pass in the first month of the second year, on the first day, that the tabernacle was raised up. So Moses, wait, hold on. Came to pass. 112. So, April 1st, year 2, the church was finished. And then he took the testimony and put it into God's suitcase chair, inserted the poles through the rings of the ark, and put. So Moses set up God's suitcase chair. And he brought the suitcase chair into the church and hung up the veil of the covering and partitioned off the ark. God's suitcase chair. He set up God's bedroom and shut the door. That's what we're doing. And then he put the table in the meeting house on the north side, outside the veil, and he set the bread in order upon it before the Lord, just like he said. And then he put the lampstand and the tabernacle in the meeting house across from the table on the south side, and lit the lamps before the Lord like the Lord had told him. And then he put the gold altar and the tabernacle in front of the veil, and he burned sweet incense on it, as the Lord commanded Moses. He hung up the screen at the door, and he put the altar of burnt offerings before the church, and offered upon it burnt offerings, grain offerings, just like God had told him. Then he set the laver between the meeting house and the church, and put water in it for washing. And Moses, Aaron, and his sons would wash their hands and their feet with water whenever they went into the church or come near the altar. They washed, as the Lord had commanded. And he raised up the court all around the church and the altar, and hung up the screen of the court gate. I thought he already did this. Okay, so now he finished his work. Then the cloud covered the tabernacle and the church. Then the cloud covered the church, and the glory of the Lord covered the meeting house, and the glory of the Lord filled the church. And Moses was not able to enter because of the cloud. Because of the cloud. And the glory of the Lord filled the church. Whenever the cloud was taken up from above the tabernacle, the vampires would move. But when the cloud was not taken up, they would stay. For the cloud of the Lord was above the tabernacle day by day, and fire was over it by night, and the sight of all the vampires throughout their journeys. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so thank everybody for watching. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to tell you, press like and subscribe, because tomorrow we're starting a new book. I don't have an a thingamabob. We'll use this. Okay. So, tomorrow we start a new book, and it's going to be great. So, I want to tell you, like and subscribe, and I will be back here in a few minutes with, maybe I won't be. No, maybe not. No. Should I do another live stream? No, I'm not going to do another live stream. So I want to tell you all good night, and I want to thank you for watching. I want to tell you like and subscribe. You're not. That's fucked up. Michael, that's messed up. Anyway, I love you, little Michael, and I love you, everyone else. Thank you for watching. I will take it easy, cousin. I love you so much.